Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
All right, very excited to have the king of NBA Twitter. I really feel like you've taken over all of Twitter because you be on it and you have a family. So I really don't know how you do this. Maybe you have a clone or like an assistant that's responsible for these creatives, because I'm like, how does Josiah have time for all of this with his family and like everything that you do? But you run Twitter, Josiah Johnson. If you don't follow him on social media, you follow him King Josiah 54. Also a great show, Out of Pocket on Buckets, and the producer of Colin in Black and White on Netflix with Ava DuVernay and Michael Starbury, a limited series on Colin Kaepernick's life. Thank you so much for joining us on the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast and taking some time away from giving us elite content on Twitter to talk to us today.
I just listened to the intro and everything you said, and I'm trying to figure out, because maybe I'm crazy, because I be running these numbers up, like you said, with the family, living in the hills of Woodland. But hey, I'm happy to be here doing it, and appreciate you for having me on the show.
No, really, like we've known each other for a while, but you've really had a very huge impact on NBA Twitter, which is kind of like, you know, it's a club open to everybody, but you kind of got to find your way in. You know, you can't just follow a certain person. Like, you got to follow the web to be involved in this. And Black Twitter as well, which you are on every single cultural thing that happens. You got the meme ready. You got the GIF. Are we going with GIF or GIF? Have we decided on that?
I've had this conversation a few times. Whatever you call it, I get it. So I say GIF or GIF just depending on how I'm feeling. But I think GIF is the proper pronunciation according to the nerds. But like, it's kind of like Uno and Black Twitter. Like, we make our own rules. So whatever you call it, I'm gonna understand it, and that's cool.
Okay, you have them ready. So do you know like something's coming up? So you got to be ready, and you have like these things ready, or you just got fast fingers and you be on it?
I just be on it. Like, I think, I don't try to go in ever with anything planned or prepared. I just like to enjoy the game, enjoy the moment, kind of like everybody else. And I really like to thrive in those like live events where, you can't get a head start. You see something happens, like LeBron, gets injured, whatever it may be, does something on the court, and you got to respond and react. Or, Trez and Campaign kind of do their thing. Like, you guys be ready to go with whatever the content is, the meme that's going to make people. And I try to always stay from a humorous lens, but that's a testament to Black Twitter and Black culture. Obviously, we use humor as a coping mechanism. So sometimes it'll be stuff that obviously isn't even funny, but if there's a way to kind of present it, that'll get people to listen, to think, to laugh a little bit, but also, most importantly, to think about whatever's going on. I try to kind of come in from that angle.
So we haven't really talked about this on the podcast, but what did you make of everything that happened with Kwame Brown over the past week?
Ooh, damn, we're going there quickly already.
Well, I mean, because we didn't talk about it on the podcast, so I feel like you and I could talk about it.
We can definitely talk about this. I'm good friends with Matt Barnes, and I'll preface it with that. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Steven Jackson, everything that Matt and Stack have been able to do on the social side. And watching the video, yeah, I can understand from Kwame Brown's perspective why he would be a little hurt. I don't understand why he was that hurt, but then again, when you've been the butt of jokes for the better part of 20 years, and I think it was good of Kwame to kind of clear the air. Obviously, he did it in a super inflammatory type of way, but you can feel the pain and hurt and anger in his heart. And I think, for those guys, my thing, everything nowadays is predicated on getting a bag. So, get your bag. Don't fight and do some dumb shit that's going to cost you, money down the road. Bring Kwame on the pod or do something with him, do a live event. And really, as Black men, you guys can all face each other and have enough respect. Like, everybody's kind of now on this Kwame, is superhuman. He could literally, beat up 20 bouncers and everything like that. But I think they're past that point. But I can understand his frustration. But also, I'm a light-skinned dude that went to UCLA, so I'm always going to rock with Matt. And I think Matt had a great response. And there comes a point for somebody like Matt, it's like, you're only going to call me out my name so many times before I respond. And I've seen Matt in situations firsthand. I know he's not a dude to be trifled with. He may get the light-skinned tag, but nobody really wants to mess with him in those situations. And, I can attest to that. So him and Kwame, I hope they figure it out. I tried to stay out of it. Everybody was hitting me like, yo, where are your memes and whatever. It's like, I'm too close to the situation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a lawyer, like, yo, I know both sides. I'm not really going to get in there and drag myself into this for some cheap views.
Yeah, I mostly try to stay out of it as well. But I also look at it from the perspective of, I guess, and maybe you could relate to this as well, because obviously your father played and you played, as well. And for me, it's like my brother. Like, when I talk I try, or not even try, like I naturally have a bit of empathy and understanding, and maybe just like I'm a face-to-face kind of individual. So what I say about someone, I assume they're going to see and hear. Like that's how I move in this business, because not out of fear, but just out of like respect. I wouldn't want somebody talking crazy, or not even talking crazy, but just not basing their opinion about my brother in actual facts. Like it's fine to be critical. That's what we do. Sometimes we got to be critical in this business, but doing it in a way that's like, I understand this person might be watching this live. Like they may really like see this right now in real time. But it did go crazy on social media, which is not surprising. But so let's talk about the playoffs, because they're here. My Heat took a pretty serious L. And I didn't appreciate it. I feel like Jimmy Butler has done everything he can for this organization, and Tyler Hero has gone full South Beach. That's what it's starting to feel like. I don't want to overreact, but things are looking bleak, and you obviously know the Bucks organization really well also. So do I have any hope, or is it over?
I mean, it's 2-0 now. We've seen the Bucks with a 2-0 lead in previous playoffs kind of squander that. So it's not like that's something that's just out of the ordinary. The way that Jimmy Butler's playing, it's not going to last. Like, I think he had like 10 points in game 2, but just super nasty performance. But everything we know about this guy, he's a dog. And the thing about dogs is sometimes they're down, but they're never out. Like, and they're going to come back. They always got that fight in them. He's going to be back in Miami. To your point, I've been to Miami a few times. I could definitely understand how you could fall in love with that life and that world, and how it could be hard for some to be able to, manage both things, especially a young guy like Tyler Hero, who's living the life, great looking dude, getting fades, can't swim though. So that cuts down on a lot of potential things he could be doing just in that area. But you like to hope that this squad's going to put up some fight. I think a squad with Jimmy Butler on it, Jimmy Butler as a leader, kind of the alpha on the team, they're not just going to throw in the towel. And Giannis and that crew's had a great job, done a great job at home, kind of holding home court. But now we're off to Miami. So I think the Heat are definitely going to get one, if not two. But now they go down 3-1 coming back to Milwaukee. It might be a wrap. I do not think they're going to get swept like Charles Barkley said, but we'll see. This is a Pat Riley-led franchise. This is Eric Spoelstra. These guys, they're about that action. They've been in these situations before, especially in the LeBron years and all those type of things. So this team will be able to come back and at least squeeze out a game, hopefully game 3. If it goes 3-0, though, that might be a more. It might be holler back time.
I know. And you know what? I picked them to beat the Bucks, and now I'm like, maybe I should have considered that PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday a little more seriously.
I need the Bucks to win. I need the Bucks to get to the finals, because I have more plugs in Milwaukee than I do in LA. Like, they love my dad out there. They've been amazing to my pops. When we pull up, we get taken care of. Anybody who hasn't been to Pfizer Forum, like, oh, they got the little like all you can eat. I don't know if they still have it, obviously, because of the pandemic, but the little all you can eat spot with the big shrimps, like, not the janky shrimps you get in the kind of like the really good shrimps that look like they came fresh from the ocean, even though there's not one near there. But like just a great way they treat people great. Now I can get this Lakers Bucks finals. I'm literally gonna have action for every game, so I'm super excited about it.
Oh yeah, you'll be living the life. Lakers Bucks, it'll be elite. All the elite eats too. So all right, So I'll ask you about that, because the Clippers kind of pulled a move. Now I trust Ty Lue. I got respect for Ty Lue, so I don't think he's lying when he says that he, sat PG and Kawhi at the end of the season, because he always does that, and it was just for rest, and it wasn't really to duck anybody, but it sure did look like a little bit like they were ducking the Lakers. And so now they have the Mavs, and they just took that L. How bad will it be for the Clippers if they don't make it out of the first round?
I think after the Clippers blew a 3-1 lead last year, that roster that they had last year was probably more poised to do anything. And just as a LeBron Lakers fan, there was definitely some concern about having to see that squad. But at the end of the day, you can only play a team in the Western Conference Finals if that team makes it to the Western Conference Finals. So if they have a 3-1 lead and all hell breaks loose, one of the greatest moments on Twitter when they blew that game, I want to say it was like an 18-point lead going into the fourth. You live for those moments as a tweeter, as somebody like myself who really, specializes in trolling and really getting under people's skin, because, those are just great times. But now looking at this roster this year, I mean, you got Luka telling Pat Bev too small, kind of that, Lou Will is now in Atlanta, just those things that made that team. I was more afraid of Lou Will, to be honest, because that's a guy who can get hot in addition to all those other guys. And really, that's where the problem's going to be in the playoffs. Now you look at this squad and it's like, yeah, they kind of get past Luka first. And to see them duck the Rockets, duck the Thunder in order to try and duck the Lakers and really get one of those, prime spots, it's more sad than anything. It's like, this is the team with Kawhi and PG that's supposed to be representative of LA. They got the San Andreas uniforms, and frankly, they're just running. They don't want any smoke. They're ducking it. They're ducking fades, and that never really works out for you. And, the Lakers, obviously LeBron's, year 18, 36 years old. They had 71 days off, and then they had to come back and play a whole season. He had the injury, and he missed significant time. AD the same. Like, these guys are kind of hobbling into the playoffs, and this is who you're running from. It's, this is just, it's not a good time to be a Clipper fan.
I can hear it in your voice. So I probably already know the answer to this question. But if the Clippers were to win the championship, like, is there any scenario, is there anything the Clippers could do ever to make this a Clippers town, to make Los Angeles a Clippers town?
I mean, sadly, like, I was a Clipper fan for a long time, but obviously my LeBron love literally trumps everything. So when LeBron came to the Lakers, and, my dad played during the Donald Sterling era, so let's just say I don't really have any real loyalty to that franchise. To see the way that he treated my dad and my family, So when LeBron came to the Lakers, it was a great time to dip. But the Clippers, the problem is, they did all this boasting. They covered up, stable with banner. They covered the banners up with selfies. And, the comedy and material writes itself. And whatever side you're on as a Clippers fan, you just got to be humble at this point and be thankful. It'll be your first championship. You can't really be talking crazy to a team that's won 17 championships, that runs a city, that has their own network. Clippers, they're on prime ticket, whatever it may be. They've got some presence locally, but everything the Lakers do, they do in grand fashion. They cut the lights off at the game and really give it that Hollywood feel. So I think the Clippers at this point are just trying to play catch up. So if I was a Clippers fan, I would definitely just be mindful of that. You can brag and boast, but much like Warriors fans, like, it's not going to end well for you when you start trying to come at the king.
Well, are you worried about the Lakers at all? Because you mentioned, obviously LeBron is coming into the postseason a little banged up. AD as well. AD did not have a good game the other night. Are you concerned about this? Because obviously they had to, beat the Warriors in an incredible game in the play-in tournament, but this is going to be a long road, like a long, hard road for them. I know it's LeBron in the playoffs, so I'm not going to pick against him to get to the finals, but are you concerned as a LeBron fan?
Well, every year that LeBron gets older, obviously there's more and more concern, and obviously him suffering the injury and coming back. And, those are industry. I remember like 2015, LeBron had a high ankle sprain. I was at, I think, game 5 against the Bulls, if I'm not mistaken. Suffered like a high ankle sprain, like the third, proceeded to come back and score like 17, 19 straight. But I remember seeing him do that and being like, oh, this might be bad. LeBron went and put some tussin on it. Literally 2 minutes later, came back in the game. Now he's missing extensive time. And I think, just between us and, and the rest of your listeners, that, there was probably some additional time that was taken off after the injury. And it was more, I don't think as a hooper you ever want injury, but when you only have 71 days off and you're expected to come play a season and all-star games and all that goodness, there comes a point where you need that rest and you start to value being healthy as opposed to seeding. So they knew what they were into getting into this. Obviously the Suns played great. CP3 is really a franchise changer and a difference maker in his ability to come over. That team, obviously without Aiden getting suspended last year for that 20-plus games, probably would have been in the playoff mix. So, but to see what he's done, taking them from not being in the playoffs last year to a 2 seed, you have to be scared of that. You have to be, especially the way they came out. It's tough, though, because we've seen that a lot in the bubble. We saw it with the Blazers, with the Rockets. The Lakers would kind of squander a game and all hope would be lost from the outside perspective. But we believe, and now it's We Believe Volume 2. We're not giving up on the squad. Even if they go down 2-0, even if they go down 3-0, I feel like when you have LeBron and AD on your team, anything is possible. This is Hollywood. We want a Hollywood ending, and I feel like this squad is poised to repeat because you're in LA, Joy. We need to have a turn up. We did not get the turn up for the first championship. Lakers and Dodgers, some turned up, some didn't adhere to CDC protocols. I'm not for or against it, whatever. Go get it. You're Los Angelinos. We're known for getting it cracking. But now I think it's time for us to really, if we get the repeat and got to go do 2 parades and 1 with the Dodgers too, it's going to be a really turned up moment. Summer's going to be cracking, so I'm hoping these Lakers really get it for us.
Listen, we outside. I'm double vaxxed, so summer better get here. It's been nice the last 2 days, but it was cold here in LA this past weekend. I'm a complainer about the weather. So
well, you come from that Miami weather, so it's always, that's the one thing you guys do have us beat on is that luxurious weather that you can really just bathing suit anytime with the rollerblades.
But guys don't really like that weather.
Why?
I feel like women, I don't know. I feel like women like that weather more. Anytime I talk about Miami, they're like, oh, it's so hot. It's so humid. I'm like, just walk around with your shirt off.
Yeah, it's real. That's real.
What's the problem? I mean, if I could walk around, well, I don't know, whatever. The point is, like, we basically do. Like, women wear whatever we want in Miami. When I first moved to LA, actually, I had to get a whole new wardrobe because I came out here and I lived in Miami for 10 years. And I didn't really know LA like that before I moved. So, like, the first 2 weekends I was out, I was like, I feel like, is this what y'all wear? Everyone dresses like a vampire out here. I had all these bright ass like bandage dresses and like neons, and I'm like, I don't blend around here. I need to wear a little more black.
Oh, now Hollywood, I mean, you can do what you want out here. You can really control the culture and people will start doing what you're doing. So really lead it. Wear what you dig. That's what I say. That's the most important thing.
I will say that one thing about LA, is that you really can wear whatever you want. Like, people get surprised when they come out here. They're like, oh, they think you got to be all fancy. And when you go to a restaurant, everybody's like, I wear sweatpants every day and nobody looks at me sideways every day. Every day I'm in a hoodie and sweatpants and nobody cares. I think it's because there's so much money out here. The people are like, I really don't care if I'm in sweatpants because I have a palatial estate. You want to come see my estate? You worry about my sweatpants? I have an estate.
It's funny. I went to a private school, like the school Crossroads, and it was funny. Like, the richest kids would dress the poorest. Like, kids who were literally like 100 millionaires, lived in Bel Air, but would like be grungy and like wouldn't, you know what I mean? But that was kind of the thing. So yeah, we have different things we wear. We obviously have, a solid fashion sense, but we influence a lot, but we could do better in some areas.
So obviously you're a Bruin. UCLA had an amazing tournament run. It was so fun. What are your expectations for next year? They're gonna run it back. They're gonna get this national championship.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have a squad. We're gonna have UCLA cracking. Shout out to Martin Jarmon, who's the new AD, who just, I think, celebrated his 1 year anniversary. He's really brought in and reinvigorated kind of the program and gotten, he's a former Hooper, so he definitely connects and relates to Hoopers, and it's just a different feel that's been there for a while. I think Mick Cronin has come in and really run a tight ship. He's a hard guy, but the players love him and he gets results. So I think the squad. I was talking to Martin Jarmon before the tournament started. I think it was right after they had won like one of the first 4 games. I'm like, yo, this squad can do something in this tournament, man. Like, they have the team. Johnny Juzang, obviously joining the illustrious history of light-skinned dudes with curls at UCLA to perform. Talking about Toby Bailey's, Chris Johnson's, Jordan Farmar's, dudes with just fluffy curls. Josh Shipp, who had a Fairfax style curl that was more pro style than real gel, but really, a squad full of dudes. So for Johnny Juzang, who I'm good friends with his mom, who was married to Michael Cooper for a long time, Wanda, she, just a great family. And to see him out there doing this, putting up work, I think, one of like 3 players in UCLA history to put up the numbers, may have like the all-time, leading points per game, I want to say. But Mick's got a new crew coming in, Peyton Watson. He's got some guys, that are really coming in ready to do work. And, the level of excellence that he demands is just going to be great now as a fan to be able to enjoy it, to see Poly Pavilion sold out, rocking, turned up, to see all the former players there getting it in, hanging out at the Pavilion Club, really popping our collars, reconnecting, rejuvenating this fan base and bringing everything back to life. But I'm excited. Like, I'm happy to be a Bruin. These games for the last few years, some of those games, it's been tough go to. I feel like a lot of times fans are going based on who they're playing, as opposed to, I was always taught, you go to support the team. I don't care if it's Cal State Fullerton or Duke or whoever. Let's sell this joint out. Let's really bring that kind of just spirit and fandom back to Westwood and turn up.
Yeah, I thought they were a really tough team. They played hard, like all these cliches, but they really were not like a finesse team. Like, they really had a lot of grit and attitude to them. And it was fun to watch. And you're right. Like, that's going to be an amazing experience for alumni and for fans to have Poly cracking again like that. So it was nice to see. And you mentioned the illustrious history of light-skinned, curly hair players at UCLA, which was a very popular Twitter thread that you created. It was shared a lot. Where do you get, like, obviously that's like, you're a Bruin, so that would come to you. Yeah. But like, is there other shows or other podcasts or people that really like influence you or give you a lot of inspiration?
I mean, think for people like me, like Dragonfly Jones, LeJethro Jenkins, people like that, Jesus and obviously people like Cuffs the Legend, who Cuffs has tweeted a lot about light-skinned dudes at UCLA, but that's kind of always been the joke, when we were there, just the curls. And we had dudes that it'd be like curl battles on the squad, who's got the best curls, and it'd be generational. So me and Chris, my older brother, would be battling Toby and Moose Bailey for who has best curl. You know what I mean?
Moose,
it's just
yeah.
things like that. These are discussions that happen when all the players are backs amongst each other. Matt Barnes kind of has an El DeBarge thing going on, technically a curl, but he can be included in the mix in these type of situations. But yeah, we definitely, as LA dudes and light-skinned dudes in California, especially Los Angeles, you pride yourself on your curl, maximum hold, the ability to beat all conditions, whether you're in the Valley or LA, Santa Monica, downtown. Like these are different climates that you have to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah, those elements can, if you're in the Valley and your curl's not properly prepared, it'll dry up like a raisin in the sun, you know what I'm saying? Versus where if you're by the beach, you're going to get the sandy and the wind in there. So it really has to get the hold and the sheen going. But these are things that we really talk about and discuss in really in depth. And I think people hear it and they kind of laugh about it. But I remember I put that thing up and that idea came to me at like 2:00, let's say. And I'm like, I'm just gonna put this up real quick. I remember hitting my brother. People look at the thread like, how come your brother, because I try to find a picture of him, but I can only find pictures of him when he had the flat top or he didn't have the curl. And I hit him like, yo, give me a curl shot. And we couldn't find one. So I had to use one with him and Clinton just for stunting purposes. But at the end of the day, and I didn't include myself just out of respect to those guys because it wouldn't have been a competition if I was involved. And I wanted them to get some shine. I didn't want it to be all about me.
That's very thoughtful. All right. I didn't ask you to prepare these, so I'm going to just hit you with them. But because you are a gatekeeper of culture on social media, I don't think it should be too hard. So one is more of your opinion. Give me 3 movies that have provided the most like memes or GIFs for you. So
for me, I'm kind of out there, but I love John Singleton's catalog. So Baby Boy, Boys in the Hood would be 2. And then a show, not necessarily a movie, but The Wire. The Wire has, honestly, throughout their 5 seasons, some of the greatest memeable moments, photos, screen grabs. And they work with a lot of people have seen that show, so it's super relatable. But even if you haven't seen it, like the Weebay meme, I think about, the Weebay GIF is one of the most used GIFs of all time, even the people that haven't seen the show. But those type of things, that level of Black culture, that stuff too, I just like to keep the legends alive and keep their memory alive and let them know how much we appreciate them. Also Friday, obviously, shout out to Ice Cube and DJ Pooh and just everybody involved with that project, Chris Tucker, will give you some gems. And that's another one that everybody's seen, so it's relatable, whether you're Black, white, Asian, Latino, whatever it may be, Friday and Friday quotable. So I try to just go with the things that are more mainstream, but more mainstream from an urban standpoint. Like, the Black community really made these hot, then everybody kind of jumped on board and really respects them now.
What are your top 5 basketball movies? Like, do you have an outlier? Because I feel like everybody lists the same ones.
Yeah, my outlier definitely is Slam Dunk Ernest, which, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in it. Ernest gets a pair of magical shoes that make him like a super athlete. I was big into the Ernest movies, like Ernest and the Trolls and, all those type of things. Like Ernest Goes to Camp. That was kind of like, my time period where I could really rock with stuff. So Slam Dunk Ernest definitely. But White Man Can't Jump, He Got Game. Ooh, I'm trying to think. Above the Rim, obviously. Blue Chips would be the other 4. And I know I'm probably leaving something out. Somebody's gonna be like, oh, man, you just say whatever. And it's like, dude, I'm on the spot. So I'm trying to give you my best.
I know.
But Blue Chips,
I should have asked you ahead of time with the
list. No, because I don't like to prep, because how I feel day to day is how I feel. So I appreciate you for not doing that. Really put me on the spot, because they're forcing me to remember these great moments in my life.
Where do you put Love and Basketball?
I think that's one that I did not include, and that's one that should be in the mix. But it's tough for me to watch Love and Basketball, and I tell a lot of people this, like, when you look at that story, it's kind of loosely based on my dad and my brother. Like, they both happen to go to Crenshaw and be Player of the Years. They both went to UCLA. This one takes place at SC, but Gina Price Bythewood, who wrote the movie, went to UCLA. Obviously, Charles O'Bannon had one of the greatest acting performances for a college basketball player of all time, making the cameo, asking Omar Epps' character to go get some wings. But great movie. It's tough for me to watch that movie. Not tough, but I really enjoy it just because of the nostalgia.
Right.
Like seeing Crenshaw. Like, they filmed that around the time I went to Crenshaw for 2 years, and I finished at the school Montclair Prep. But they filmed that around the time that I was at Crenshaw. So seeing kids like Coach Dennis, who was my coach on the freshman team when I was a freshman there, has some cameos in the joint, and just other people that are our Crenshaw staffers, and just the whole community kind of, people that I played with getting extra roles and stuff. So it was really cool to see, and also just a great movie. And, definitely, it should be in my top 5. So Slam Dunk Ernest can get the honorable mention just as a courtesy, but Love and Basketball is in there.
If we were going to give someone a cheat code for who to follow to get into NBA Twitter? Besides yourself, of course.
Ooh, Cass was gonna say like, ooh. Probably I'll say Jasmine L. Watkins, I think is
strong. She is amazing.
She's like 5'2", like, comes with a lot of different stuff, like, I mean, like, but definitely I see, like, it's funny, I'll see people out there and it's like when I see jobs pop up and people are like, oh, and people hit me like, who should we hire? I'm like, yo, like if I can see it, I almost need to do like a Craigslist, but call it Josiahs List. Right. It's like, yo, these are the people that are moving and shaking. And whenever I see a job op, I'm always trying to connect them with people that I know can get it. So I'll DM random people that follow me. Sometimes they'll post job postings. I'm like, yo, just hire such and such. You don't need to waste your time with anything else. And they're like, oh man, well, if it's coming from you, then it means something. It's like, yeah, I don't waste my time DMing people unless I feel strongly like my name is my name. I would never suggest somebody. But Jasmine does a great job. Dragonfly Jones, I feel like is more just all encompassing Twitter, but music, like the way his mind works, and people always look at me like, oh man, you're so smart, whatever. It's like, nah, man, I look at Dragonfly, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I really started to do all this Twitter stuff, because the stuff he would just say, and that's kind of, my mind works similarly, not nearly as well as his does, but I'll just think of the most random, obscure stuff and want to tweet it out, and then find out that a lot of other people thought the same thing, or then they finally think about it. It's like, oh man, I never looked at it that way. But really kind of stream of consciousness, but has just deep library of music, pop culture, basketball, just super knowledgeable, and a great dude. I met him a couple years ago for the first time. We gave each other a big hug, because it's just like, this is a dude that you really rock with. Like, you see him on all areas of Twitter, but he's always coming through with really informed takes. He's obviously intelligent. He's a LeBron guy, so like myself, so somebody you can rock with. Him, LeJethro, the Kid Mero, obviously is another one. The Kid Mero, like for the East Coast side, is literally putting up some of the greatest numbers ever, one of the most hilarious human beings ever, and a good friend. So a lot of people that are influential on that side. But I think Jasmine, if you want to know what NBA Twitter is, from the culture, the jokes, the memes, whatever's going on, she has a great handle and gets stuff out, quick. It's tough because she'll put stuff out. I'm like, damn, I can't even come to the paint today because she already done, took the block over. I gotta chill. I just gotta, wait my turn now. But I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see this Twitter culture really growing and expanding, and people actually realizing they could actually make money doing this. Like 10, 15 years ago, it was like, hey, I'm gonna make memes. Like, everybody would have laughed at me. Like, I'm a 39-year-old man that makes memes, and I get paid a lot to do it. So it's opened up a lot of doors, and I think the younger generation is really starting to see the value of what these memes can do, and it's a whole new form of communication that's dominating the sports industry.
Yeah, no, I've loved to see how you've exploded over the past couple of years, because it's you be on it, and like I have to like control myself. I'm like, I can't be retweeting all Josiah's tweets. Like, I gotta mix it up. I gotta reserve like every other day. But you're on top of it. It is really impressive, because I know you got a lot going on. So I'm shook. Like, I'm like, I can't keep up. I don't know how you do it. But one thing before I let you go, because you're a real one, and people ask me about this all the time. And one part of social media, obviously, is real trolls. Like, you're joking, you're putting out content, making people laugh, making people think. But there is that element of social media where it's real life people who just make fake accounts and talk crazy shit to people that they will never meet. And sometimes it escalates to, like, death threats and all kinds of crazy shit. I know how I deal with it, but how do you deal with it?
Well, Joe, I know how you deal with it as well, and I really respect and appreciate you, because I look at the stuff that you deal with on the daily, and we've gone into a world now where people, like back in the day, like a lot of people still create burners and operate that way, but it's a lot of people just from their regular account now that, especially for somebody like yourself, just say the most outlandish, absurd, rude, disrespectful shit, like we talked about earlier, like stuff that you would never say if I was in front of you right now. It's dudes that know, they can have no chance with you, but they're going to shoot their shot on the tweet with like the most random, obscure, like nasty, mean-spirited shit. Or, both of us, like my dad played in the NBA, obviously your brother's a Hall of Famer in the NFL. So people assume, oh, you just got this job because of family. It's like, yeah, I can get an interview because of family. I can't keep a job. Believe me, I didn't work with there's tons of people that have, sons, fathers, brothers, sisters, whatever. Believe me, that's a humongous network. So we have to rise to the cream above all that to be able to perform. But even like you were saying, looking at my social, like I'm big on watching people's social growth. It's like this weird thing that like, kind of dominates my life. So even seeing your numbers run up, I'm saying, on Instagram and everything you're doing constantly, and just your star power, and seeing you call games and all that great stuff. It's like, this is the world now. Back in the day, like ESPN and a lot of these companies were predicated on, you had to be a journalist, and this is the only way that you could really get a lane, and around the horn and PTI and all those type of things, where now you have to be a little bit of everything. You got to be funny, you got to be talented, you got to be smart, you got to know every sport that you're talking about. You got to be able to talk great, look great, act great, tweet great. But the thing that people look at me, they're like, oh, you're the king of Twitter. It's like, yeah, this came, they don't remember in 2019 before we could see quote tweets, but the bombardment of tomatoes and you sucking up, you get cancer and you're fat and you're this and you're that and all the shit that you get. And for me, it's like, yo, a lot of people succumb to that and it makes them not want to tweet. Me, like, I just kind of laugh about it because I know I literally have people that are creating troll accounts literally just to tweet at me. And that's like the most saddest and pathetic thing. And it's like I just think about them. And I think where my life is at. And I honestly feel pity and like, you know, really like take pride in the fact that they're at work now frustrated. Like they're telling their kids how much they hate me and their kids are looking at you like, I don't even want to like bring your parent to work day because you're an embarrassment. You know what I mean? These are the things that I really take pride in. So to see that work, because a lot of people are like, man, I want to get in social and I want to do this and I want to do that. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff, but you're not going to skip the difficult stuff because as soon as your numbers start to rise, people hate you. They don't want you to succeed. They're more than happy to see you fail and they honestly root for that. So I just kind of wake up every day because I know I got a ton of people support me too. And it's like, well, if Jordan Peele supports me, I'm less offended by, you know, person with like 45 numbers at the end of their handle who thinks I'm the worst ever. Like, you know, if I see both of those in a day, I'm probably going to gravitate towards the Jordan Peele like praise as opposed to like this loser's hate. But it does wear on you. We are human beings. And like you think about people like LeBron and people like KD and people like that. And it's like they deal with this constantly. Beyonce, one of the most talented people ever. I'm sure she gets a barrage of hate and, you know, all types of rude comments. Serena Williams, another person I know, you know, gets compared to, and, you know, just some of the rudest, nasty, violent stuff. And this is also a part of the game. So in order to really survive and sustain, you're going to have to deal with a lot of that negativity, but you rise from it. And look, you know, I'm making a lot of money right now. The IRS knows me by first name. Like they know I'm contributing a lot. I've provided a lot of STEMIs. So I'll take that hate because I know at the end of the day, a lot of people rock with me and support me and want to see me get to where I'm going to get to.
Yeah, you know, you shouldn't take advice from somebody you shouldn't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. So like that like I've f***ed it up, but you get what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't let you watch my pet rock. Why would I be taking advice about what I do every day from you? And you do have a lot of people that support you because you do great work and you're the homie, and I really appreciate you coming on, and a lot of people appreciate what you do. I appreciate what you do on social media because you make me laugh and you make me think, and it's been a crazy fucking year for all of us. So I've deeply appreciated it because there's been many nights where I was just chilling on Twitter and was fully entertained. So we love your work.
I'm gonna say I appreciate you too, because I see all the stuff that you deal with and how you're thriving and really out there shining. And I'll see you come at trolls sometimes, and I'm like, damn, I can't even really feel bad with what I'm getting because I know you're getting this every time you tweet. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? You might put a photo of whatever it may be, and I'll just look. Like I said, I monitor social. I look at trends and things, and it's like there's this trend where people feel like they can say whatever they want to people, and it's like you would never do that in person ever.
Never.
Matter of fact, if you tweet this crazy shit, I mean,
you and I know like the most because. I think also like if you play sports in a weird way, it even kind of amplifies that because like I hooped, I ran track, played soccer, played volleyball. Like if you're going to talk shit, you better, there is a very good chance you will have hands laid on you or even just, you know, where you're from in the world. Like I don't walk around the world assuming at any time there's something could happen. And people really act like that's how the world is. Like you could just say whatever you want and there's no consequences. And that's not real life. And that's not real life. So yeah, that's why it doesn't bother me. And I would like say like bother loosely because obviously it's annoying to read and see stuff like that, but it doesn't hurt my spirit because I'm like, that person would rather like really smack their mama than say that to my face.
Yeah, for sure. I really love and enjoy it now because like, damn, you took time out of your day to hate on me and I must be doing something to get your attention because I never see what you tweet about. Honestly, you know what I mean? Like I never see what I don't like. It's all I hate you, whatever. Like, great. I don't even know you. Like, hate me all you want. I don't even know you exist. So apparently I don't even follow you. Like, yeah. But my thing is like when people block me, I'll look at like, who their friends are. And then I'll just make content geared to their, like say they're Seahawks fans or whatever it may be. I'll just make content that's geared to them that I know they'll retweet and constantly just flood that person's timeline with. And that's my ultimate F you to them is like, look, whether you block me or not, you're still gonna see my shit. So get over it.
That's maniacal, but I'm here for it.
Strategic. Definitely.
I'm petty like that too, for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us, Josiah. I really appreciate it. We've been wanting to have you on for a while. If you don't follow the king of social media, King Josiah 54. Check out Out of Pocket on Buckets. And he is the producer of Colin in Black and White on Netflix with Ava DuVernay and Michael Starbury, a limited series on Colin Kaepernick's life. So make sure you check that out as well. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hope the family as well. It was good to see your dad and talk to him earlier also. And enjoy the rest of the
Thank you for
playoffs.
that love on the show. That honestly, I got like 4 people tweeting at me like, yo, your dad's on the herd right now. So I hustled over, turned the TV on, and then I saw you just, give me the shout out, and I really, really appreciate it. And then my pops really took it and ran with it. So Steph Curry, if you listen to this pod, my dad got a movie that he wrote. It's called Burning for Justice. It's about the integration of the LAPD or LA Fire Department. If you're looking for a role, he has a great small role for you, but it's impactful. Deliver your lines with angst. Give him a look. Holler at pops. And I'm gonna and let's get my dad in the Hall of Fame too while we're here. So might as well just do that in campaign. We're running the full campaign for him, but appreciate you for having me on. I hope I can come on again soon. I know how we've been trying to do this for a while, so we got it done. I'm super excited about it, that the people get to really hear us flourishing.
Yes. Thank you. I talked to your dad briefly in the break. So I had to say hi because he was nice enough to come on the pod. He probably don't remember because he's big time, but he came on the podcast with me a long time ago. But I had to let him know that you were coming on the pod today. So of course we got to show you love, but I appreciate it, Josiah.
All right. Thank you.